So starting in the Premier Division, we have Simcox Red against Thompson 1. Should be a fairly easy game for Simcox Red.
Yeah, and I think they're coming to the end of the season now where they're trying to make sure that goal difference is up. So I'm sure much won't be spared in terms of effort levels from them.
Brown Crane Tomb Raiders versus Simcox Blue.
Yeah, Tomb Raiders beaten Blues last time they played together, so Blues probably trying to come out tomorrow with something to prove a bit more. But Tomb Raiders have been extremely consistent the past few games.
Yeah, they've been strong.
Only losing by 3, was it last week, to Misfits, who's somebody sat a fair few positions ahead them in the division. So it could go either way. I'd obviously love it to be a Simcox victory, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tomb Raiders pulled it away, even if by just a few goals either.
Well, if Simcox Blue play as well as they did last week, that'll be a very interesting game because it looked like they finally hit their stride.
Yeah, a game where things just seem to click for the Blues, and I'm glad that it's finally happened. Consistently from turnovers and defence to working things down to attack, the team just seemed to gel. And obviously when you get a bit of momentum in your play, it really helps to carry the play all the way down the court, and that was definitely the story for Blues last week. So
absolutely. Simcox Gold versus Marbury Misfits A.
Could go either way, to be honest. Golds have been playing quite a strong game of netball recently, and it doesn't take much for somebody with a bit of momentum to kind of carry on and maintain a win. So if they start off strong from the off, they could well win. I think it was close the first time they played each other, actually, last half of the season. But again, Misfits are an extremely solid team, defensively, mid-court and attack-wise.
Everywhere, yeah.
So you really have to be on and know where their weaknesses are to be able to take it away and get a win against them.
And Route 1 Connections versus Ballasalla B, which should be a very interesting game.
It should be an interesting game. And now that the Connections team do have some of their stronger players like Kat Keeling and Erin Keggin back from injury, they are starting to find their play and settle a little bit more on the court. The game last week for them certainly didn't seem rushed. And they have a bit more strength up and down the court with combinations that have played together for years, so could be an interesting one, and I am rooting for Connections to get their first win. So
yeah, I can't say that being from Ballasalla. But I do hope they play well. In Division 1, PwC Manx Gems Rubies versus Marbury Misfits B.
Again, Marbury Misfits B are another team. When they come out and they play really well, they're extremely strong and they do fight for every ball, but again, Gems Rubies are a really strong team. They're really effective on the court and they know how to play to their strengths as well. It will probably come down to who has the least errors out of the two of them, because I wouldn't expect either of them will go in wanting to lose the game.
Yeah. Gems Rubies have a lot of under-17 Island players on their squad, on their team, don't they, as well?
So you have the likes of Becca Cook, who's just been away, with the under-21s actually representing the island. So a girl that is getting a lot of exposure and a lot of experience at the moment, and you learn a lot from going away and playing against a different kind of group of people. So she'll certainly come back and try and implement that across the team. But you've also got the likes of Emma Leith and Holly Hennessy, who are consistent in that mid-court. They help to open up that play and carry the ball down to the court, but they're tracking their defenders all the time. They
never stop moving either.
No, and it helps for a young team because they tend to have legs that last a bit longer. Not saying that any team's unfit, but these girls play sport 5-6 times a week. So they tend to have a bit more in their legs, but Marbury Misfits are consistent, and they always put up a fight in their games. Always. So could be close.
Route 1 versus Long and Humphrey Tomb Raiders.
I think Tomb Raiders are going to come out with a win. They drew Connections actually in their cup game, and put on a massive performance against them. So against the Premiership side, they played extremely well. So yeah, I'd expect them to come out with the victory tomorrow.
Ballasalla C versus Thompson Travel 3.
Unsure, to be honest. Thompson have started to find their play across all of their teams, and they've started to settle. And it's good that Thompson 3 is a team that's a mixture of youth with experience as well. So you have the likes of Michelle O'Malley and Hannah Clegg in that team, who are strong and consistent players, mixed with some younger players in that team as well, which kind of helps to settle that across the court. So when play's rushed, you know, they know what to do and settle the play down. But also Ballasalla have the likes of Amelia Quinn, a very confident shooter.
Yeah. Commands the circle.
Yeah, exactly. And isn't afraid to put a shot up, whether she's right by the post or whether she's on the edge of the D. And she's a loud voice on the court as well. You know, being in the attacking end of the court, you have the eyes of what's going on up and down, and she's not afraid to shout and let people know what's going on, which really helps to direct the play.
Absolutely. They've also got shooting actually with Amelia Quinn, who I watched last week. Annabelle, I'm really sorry I don't know her last name, but Annabelle is
Neil.
Yes, and I think she's an excellent holding shooter. You can see like she's still a little bit nervous, but she's starting to come into her own and really sort of take a stand.
Yeah.
And personally, I find her very easy to feed to.
So, certainly. Yeah. She's actually injured.
No.
So I'm not expecting to play tomorrow because she was limping today.
Oh dear.
So it'll be interesting to see what combination actually that Balla put out tomorrow.
Well, speedy recovery to Annabelle. And finally, in Division 1, Castletown Pink versus Danplant Young Farmers A. I've got here Danplant Younger Farmers A.
Younger.
So like the 3 to 5 year olds.
The tinies.
Yeah.
I actually think Castletown came out and maybe won this game last time. That may be factually incorrect. But I'm sure the last time we discussed this, I predicted Farmers to come out with a win, and Mum came home and like slapped me across the face and was like, "Look at this." But yeah, Farmers I'd say are probably stronger on paper. But you have now in Castletown the likes of Alicia Dunn, who strangely enough has a fantastic partnership with her mum, Amy. The two of them in defence together just work really well. Maybe it's some kind of like family thing that's going on, and they know what each other's going to do.
Each other,
but they just connect down that court, and it helps especially in an attacking end when you have supportive defenders to help you bring that ball down, and they do exactly that. So yeah,
Castletown Pink are on a roll as well at the moment.
They are.
Yeah, they're looking confident when they walk out onto court. So
they are, and I don't think they're a team that you can necessarily write off from the offset. Like they may be maybe 8 or 9 goals down at half time. That's not it for them. They have a lot of different combinations in their team sheet. Because they've played together for so long, that they mix it up and they try something out and it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, you can't necessarily write a game off, you know, at half time with them. They like to mix things up. They do. Keep us all on edge.
Yeah. In Division 2, Simcox Green Eagles versus PwC Manx Gems Emeralds.
Last time these guys came up against each other, Gems Emeralds just pipped them Greens to the post. So I feel like Greens are definitely coming back with a vengeance. So yeah, we'll see. Greens have been quite unfortunate in some of their games where combinations just aren't working, and they've really struggled to get the ball into the attacking end. Whereas Gems team, when I've watched them, they've kind of found their shooters under the post with ease. So it probably comes down to who can feed their shooters the most, the easiest, and which side is on, probably.
Spaniards versus WDS Limited Young Farmers B.
Yep, Spaniards have finally settled after a few kind of shock defeats at the start of last season.
Games.
And they've really found strength in their squad again, which is really good. You know, it can be quite demoralising dropping down a division. But yeah, they've really started to find their own, and it's kind of just been like win after win for them from now. So they're definitely on the up, and I'd expect them to win again tomorrow as well.
And finally, in Division 2, Absolute Scaffolding Red versus Castletown Navy.
Yeah, again, Castletown Navy are a team that have been so consistent this season, which has shocked me. But they're such a strong team now, and it can be quite difficult to stop a team that's on the rise. It sounds really strange, but you come onto the court with like a different aura when you've been playing really well, like quietly confident almost.
It goes a long, long way. I think people
really
undervalue that. Just that attitude walking on court, as you say.
So it would be good to see that game. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see it, but I'd expect Absolute Scaffolding to put out a strong performance as well. Again, they've got some youth in their squads, and it's really good to see them performing consistently on a Sunday. So you have the likes of Amber, who is a young mid-court player. She's so strong and fast that she kind of just comes out of nowhere, and next thing you know, she's got arms up in front of you, or like she's grabbed an intercept and she's running down towards the attacking end for them. So yeah, it would be good to see that game play out actually.
Where are they playing?
They are at St Ninians tomorrow.
And Division 3, SMP Balasaladi versus Route 1 Volts.
Yeah, I think these two are actually sat second and third against each other.
Yeah, so this should be a good game to watch.
It should be a good game to watch. And actually, going off the last few games that both these teams have played, Volts have been really strong. Likewise, so have Baladi. So it could go either way, to be honest. It depends really whether Baladi have the likes of Claire Crow
and Joe Hicks back.
And playing, because those two are real game changers. You know, having experience often is better than having a lot of youth on the team, because you know how to be controlled and be composed on that court. And it's not always about rushing and these different set plays. It's understanding and reading the tactics of somebody else, and that's what those two do extremely well. But likewise in Route 1, you've got people that play against the likes of Kat Keeling in their training sessions, so people that know how to play against strong players. So I'm hoping it's a tight game. I do enjoy a tight game. Yeah,
me too. But you're so right. I mean, that's where the experience comes in, because it can be incredibly frustrating both watching and being on court when it's mistake after mistake, and it turns into a tennis match, and you're just like, someone needs to take control and just calm everyone down, you know. Otherwise,
stop it.
Guys, stop. So yeah, that should be a good one to watch. I think I'll go down and watch that. Also in Division 3, Thompson Travel 4 versus Simcox Silver.
So Silver is currently sat at the top of the division, and Thompson somewhere near the bottom, but they actually haven't played each other yet. Unfortunately, Thompson had to concede the last time they met, so I've got nothing to compare from last time. But based on results, Thompson 4 only lost by a handful of goals to Simcox Whites a few weeks ago. So they're clearly, they're clearly coming out stronger now, and they've probably settled. They're a really young team in the division. I think the majority, if not all of them, are under 17s. So it's great experience for them to be playing in the senior league, and probably just taking them a little bit longer than everybody else to kind of understand how these older players play and settle a bit. So it's really good to see that they are
finding
building.
their feet.
Yeah, really good.
Now, what is the last match that you've got down for Division 3?
I have Simcox White versus Absolute Scaffolding Red.
Yes. That's what I've got.
Yeah.
Okay, just double checking.
No, that's right. And I'd expect Scaffolding, Absolute Scaffolding, to win this game. They are, again, another strong team in that division. Although White's playing against the Silvers last week, they got over half point and they played extremely well. They do have a lot of different combinations, and like to put them out week in, week out. They don't have the same starting 7 every week. They like to mix it up,
and that's important, that to have depth in your squad.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of people that have come back to netball and come into that team and just slotted in, and they've become a really good team. Like, they're a really lovely group of girls, and they've all just slotted into that team really well. But yeah, I'd say Absolute Scaffolding probably going to win that game.